So I'm Arno, same team as Erwan, Vincent, and all the others that you saw. And I will talk about something that we call zero-touch RMA. So there is a pretty big issue. All of our servers are somewhere in the world, but we are not with those servers. So we have to interact with a contractor that goes on site. Those contractors also have to interact with the vendors at the back. And since we're a NASDAQ listed company, we cannot allow external people that we do not trust in our data centers. So vendors cannot go into the data centers. And finally, we are only 3 in the team currently. Oopsie. And we're handling 32,000 servers with around 110 maintenance tickets per month. And we also work on other topics, so we cannot spend the whole day on that. So here is a quick walkthrough of our process. So I'm not speaking about the troubleshooting, that's another part, just the ordering part. So we create a ticket that our contractor can catch. They read it, they analyze it, and then they copy-paste each of the data into a form for each part, for each vendor. So, quick problem. There are 3 orders per day, on average, including the weekends, and it takes between 5 and 10 minutes per part. So maybe you know, this is a story of a man named Stanley, if you get a reference to Stanley Parable. So let's start the PremDay game. Who have a similar kind of issue with your RMAs? Okay, so actually a few of you are actually automating RMAs. So as we can see, RMAs are way too manual. Let's do something about that. Let's automate them. So you can imagine a world with one interface for everyone. We could also imagine a world where we could create the RMA, oopsie, yeah, perfect, ourselves and give our contractor the authorization to read them, or they can also handle the logistic part, the part that they are actually good at. And imagine the absolute cinema. We would not have to pay for someone to click on buttons. So what could it look like? So just an example, you put the info that you need for an RMA, various part numbers, whether do you accept agnostic part because it's also a big thing at vendors, maybe some troubleshooting details if you need them, and boom, imagine if it was just that. You could automatize everything from the troubleshooting to the repair. But wait, there is more. What could we also do? We could imagine something like adding a part catalog. For instance, something that indicates which part number is the motherboard for the server. And it could also include some troubleshooting steps. We could add logs uploading for default troubleshooting by the manufacturer. We could add shipment tracking for your order parts. And maybe we could even team up with the DMTF to improve the Redfish schema to be more like bill of material friendly. I see you at the back. And list all the FRUs and their required part numbers. Between manufacturers, there is so many kind of part numbers and like different for each context, for the support, for the RMA, for the ordering. It's really complicated. So before we had something like that, as you saw, and we target something like that. Faster and shorter, and the contractor gets to do what they're good at. So their job, replacing the parts, and it's better for everyone. Oops. So why would you want something like that? So first, you get to sell servers to new clients, because if we can use the same process for everyone, then adding you to our list of vendors is so much easier. Also, it's kind of the same with contractor. If we have to teach a contractor to work with a specific vendor with their specific processes, it gets really complicated, and changing contractors on our side then gets also really complicated. So that's, again, going back to the first point. And finally, we also would have direct communication with you, the vendors, because multiple people can exchange, and we all have the same view with the same troubleshooting for everyone, and not trying to like exchange past the message and then go back to the vendor and go back to the contractor and go back to the vendor. That would be so much easier. And we could even imagine something like automated RMAs from the BMCs, just suggesting something. So who will need to work on that? First, who would be interested in a project like that, just to get an idea? All right, so roughly, actually most of the users apparently. So, well, we need to define something. We need to define a spec together that would work, and then wait for you, the vendors, to hop in the bandwagon. We want something that is a fully tested spec, not something you try to fit, looking at your redfish. We want something also that works for everyone. We don't want something only client-centric, but also vendor-centric, not only vendor-compatible. We know everyone has some kind of constraints, and of course, we shall meet them together. And that's it. It cannot be that hard, right? Thank you very much. Questions?
Hey there. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, sure. Let's put that as a topic for the user group.
Yeah, let's do it. Happy to provide the appropriate forum and the project to do that.
That's nice to know.
Yeah, just a quick note. Vendors should obviously cooperate, because if a spec is designed but not implemented by vendors, it doesn't mean anything. But the spec itself should be vendor agnostic, and each vendor should have a vendor agnostic implementation.
Indeed.
Not a custom one is /OEM / blah, 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 blah. And yeah, also less box in box for sending the parts.